Hi and welcome to my channel. Now today's video is about this Retekess TR641 radio cassette Bluetooth device, shall we say. Quite a nice compact unit. I thought I'd go over a few things. I hope I'm saying that company's name right. If I am not, I do apologise. But what you get in the box is this particular unit. You get a mains leaders there as well, and you get the instructions as well. So that's how it's come to me. Now these are available in the US at the moment. I think they retail for about $42, somewhere around there, and it's going to be available in the UK, as far as I know, around about mid-November, for about £35 to £39, somewhere in that price bracket, as far as I know. So I thought I'd go through this. It looks quite a nice compact unit when I see it, so I thought this would be something to maybe just to bring to the channel, just a slightly off channel kind of thing. But I've done a radio cassette before, Bluetooth radio cassette before, and also I've done a Bluetooth radio, which was doubled up as a Bluetooth speaker as well, which sounded quite nice as well. So I thought I'd give this a go, like I say, and tell you my thoughts on this particular unit. So if we just go through a few things, first of all, what it's got on it. We've got a normal cassette here down the bottom. As any followers of Tech Mode on my channel will probably I just thought I mentioned that this is a bog standard cassette. I think it's the only kind of cassette mechanism being made these days. It's a pretty standard cassette mechanism, and it's available in stereo or mono apparently. And this unit here is a mono tape player, so it plays back a stereo cassette, but it plays it back through the one speaker in mono. Even if you plug your headphones in at the side, they are on the side, their headphones, come to them in a minute, it will play it back in mono through your headphones. Both cans will be in mono. So we've got our cassette functions here along the top: eject, stop, forward, fast, rewind, play and record. This unit does record as well, we'll come to that as we go along. We've got the AM, FM for our radio, and we've got a tuning here for our radio here. It's a little tuner, and we've got a little aerial, pulls up, telescopic aerial for our radio. If we just quickly whip it around the back, just to quickly show you, got a little carrying handle if you wanted to carry it about, but it's quite convenient just to carry it in your hand. This is quite a solidly built unit. Kind of reminds me of an old Sony kind of unit, something you expect from Sony maybe in the 80s, something like that. It's quite solidly made. It's got quite a bit of weight to it as well. Okay, at the front we've got a little display which will light up. I'll come to that as we go along. We've got a USB or trans flash, TF, I think that's what it used to stand for, but actually it's a micro SD card socket. We've got a previous, this is for when we're playing off of an SD card or USB even. We've got some bits and pieces we can do here, like previous, play and pause, next. Then we can flick through the files, so if you've got your files in folders on USB card, or your SD card or USB stick, you can flick through the files. Then we've got repeat. You can repeat a certain track, and this goes over now to record, which is a function for your SD card. It can record off the tape onto an SD card. And we've got our Bluetooth here for connecting up your phone maybe to it, using this as a Bluetooth speaker. You may connect up your record player or something like that to it using Bluetooth. So we'll go over a few of them things as we go along. Now just to go to the side here, as you can see, we've got a headphone socket here on the side. We've got a trans flash, as it's called, but it's a micro SD card, USB, and we've got the options: USB, trans flash, Bluetooth, tape off or tape, and radio. Now if you do plug this into the mains, you can do here, like I say, the lead comes with it. We've got a volume control here, but when it's plugged into the mains, the unit is pretty much always on. It's not completely off until you disconnect it. But for today's video, I'm going to be using batteries, which I've had in there a good hour or so now. They're holding up quite well. I should imagine you get quite a few hours. But I've been playing around with it quite a lot, and they're still as strong as anything. So anyway, what we're going to do is quickly show you the radio first. So this is the radio. So what I've got to do is just turn it onto radio on the side. We're going to pull our aerial up. Now the reception here isn't fantastic in this room because the computer's on, etc. But hopefully I'll pick up something.
Somebody that was at that gig, it'd be like a dream come true, wouldn't it? And imagine if that person was one of your new besties. Well, I'm delighted to say both those things are true. Mark Goodyear.
Oh, I missed you. I missed you.
I missed you too. How are you? So how was it? Tell me all about it.
It was great. What's amazing is...
Right, okay, that's all right. Like I say, the reception in this room isn't great. As soon as I took it in another room, it's really, really good. Comes out quite clear, the radio, and quite strong, and also stays bang on. It doesn't seem to drift on anything for a good couple of hours downstairs while I was doing something, and it worked fine. What I would say about the radio is any of these kind of units, it's only got half a sweep kind of thing from top end to bottom end of the dial, so it can be you just go past a couple of times until you finally get it in. It can be a little bit touchy, but once you get it in there, it's fine. We've got AM and FM, managed to pick up a few stations and AM as well, and they come through as you expect, and it sounds pretty good. That's for one thing, so yeah, quite listenable. Even though it's got a little 2-inch, this speaker is only a 2-inch speaker. I don't know if you can see it, I'll try and catch it in the light. Only a 2-inch little speaker. I'm not expecting this to give out the sound of, say, one of them Anchor kind of bars that's got 2 speakers and a little bass speaker, but don't forget they've got extra speakers, and just adding stereo makes a big difference. Just, you know, adding another speaker on this side would make a big difference. But as it is, I think this sounds pretty good. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound too bad at all for the money you're paying and for what the actual item is. And it does do quite a lot of things. So the next thing I think I'll go on to is the tape. Okay, I've got a tape in there ready to go. It's just eject just to show you that. There it is, all ready to go. So we're going to put it on tape, which is the middle one. We've got it on there, that's great. So we're going to press play. Okay, just a little demonstration there. That's all I had on tape, to be honest. That was already pre-recorded by myself. But we will do a bit of taping in a minute, and also we're going to play back some SD card, and the sound is pretty much the same throughout on this unit. It's got a good sound to it. Got a little bit of this, obviously, on this cassette. You would expect that. Like I say, it's a cheap mechanism. It hasn't got Dolby, any kind of Dolby noise reduction, anything like that. So we're going to expect a little bit of this. But other than that, it sounds pretty good. And one thing I would say about this unit, even if you turn it full volume, it doesn't really distort a lot from where it was, kind of thing. It's got a little bit of distortion in the bass, would say, when the bass gets a bit low or gets a bit involved in there. We've got a slight bit of distortion. It's mainly evident through headphones, actually. It's not so much evident through the speaker here, but it is there. But you know, has to be expected. What are we expecting here? It's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. So that's my pre-recorded cassette. What I'm going to do now is I'm not going to record one in a minute. We'll do that in a second. We're going to come to do a recording in a minute. So I'll check that out. I'll get myself ready for the recording by putting another cassette in there. But what we're going to go, I've already got a little micro SD card in there. Hopefully you can see that. But you can use USB as well. But I've just chose to use that card there. And as soon as we flick it over, it will automatic play. One thing I did mention about the cassette, just before I'm jumped ahead of myself there, is just eject that and put that other cassette in there. We'll just rewind it a little bit. Just want to show you something, actually. So if I just stick that cassette in there and just do a bit of a rewind. And we press play again. Where are we?
My dream job became...
There we go. There are all bits and pieces on this. Just turn it over that side. There you go. We've got a little counter here, but it isn't really a counter. This comes up as soon as you press play on the cassette. So if I stop that, I'll press play. It will start going round, and this takes a few seconds to come up. It lights up, says tape, and starts counting. This is just a counter. This is just a timer. Got no relevance to where actually the tape is. So you can't use this as a tape counter. It's just for a show, really, more than anything else. So if I was to rewind back to 0, I wouldn't be in a position where I started off on 0. I'd be miles away, because obviously it rewinds quicker than it plays. So I'll be absolutely miles away. So if I do a rewind, as you can see, it's not rewinding correctly, it's just a timer. So that is the tape bit there on the play side. Just wanted to show you that. So let's go on to the USB, and this will light up again. And it's just a counter again.
No, it's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. No.
So we press next track.
I think so. Sitting in the basement apartment I rented with you.
Okay, so that's USB or micro SD there, playback. What I will do in a minute, what it can do and what I will show you doing, it can copy that tape onto an SD card, and it can also copy an SD card onto the tape. So we're going to run through them functions, and hopefully I'm going to give you some kind of demonstration of that actually working, and we're going to talk about this file, how to choose different folders and that kind of thing as we go along. So let's do that now. I think what I'll do now is just put this back to tape for a second. Okay, what I'm going to do now is record off a cassette onto my little SD card at the side here. You could use USB, but I'm using that little SD. So what we've got to do is, you may want to tee this up kind of thing. If you're recording one track off your cassette onto SD card, you may just want to tee it up, because it does take a second or two for it to actually start recording. This is where it could do with a pause button on the cassette mechanism, just to pause it, so when it's ready you can let go of the pause and get it precise. But if you're doing a complete cassette from start, you're okay, because the cassette's got a little bit of a lead in time, and by the time that comes in and you've set this up, it corresponds. So let's give that a go. So what we're going to do, we're going to press play on our cassette, and this will light up. It takes a second or two, and once it lights up we can press the record button to tell it that we want to record onto our little SD card. So here we go. As you can see, the SD card and record is flashing. Okay, that's enough of that. So what we're going to do is play that back now. To play that back, all we've got to do is flick this switch to USB, my little USB or trans flash, which is micro SD. Flick that over.
No.
Now, it won't play that track instantly. You're going to have to find that track. It puts it in a little folder, its own little folder, the recordings that this unit makes. So you have to find that folder. To find that folder, we're going to use this file button. So this is playing the tracks I've already got in there, and they're in a different folder. And that's the only folder I've got. Now it's invented a new one with the recording I've just done, but there's a couple of more recordings in there I think as well, but it'd be the last recording. So what we're going to do is press file. It's not that one.
25% off any 6 bottles of wine.
That's one I recorded a little bit earlier. Here we go, it's this one here. There you go, so it's recorded that track onto USB or trans flash. We call it SD from now on, I think it's a bit confusing. And to go back to the other recordings I've got in there, just press that file button and it go back up to the other recordings I've got on there. So that's recording cassette to USB stroke SD card. Okay, what we do now I think is record the SD card onto a cassette I've got now. So to do that we're going to have to put it onto SD. So I'll flick that switch, let's get a few sounds coming through. Okay, there's the sound, the track playing. All we've got to do is press play and record on our cassette. We'll do another track as well. Okay, we'll stop that. That track will continue playing off the SD card. We'll stick it over to cassette. We're going to rewind it. This is where this counter doesn't really help us at all. We're going to have to guess where it is really. But I've done it from the beginning of the tape, so it shouldn't be too far away. There we go. We'll press play. And don't forget, this is just a basic cassette. Okay, the recording's not too bad at all, is it really? It's not too bad at all. It's not hi-fi, anything like that. You put the headphones on, you will pick up some noise, and a little bit of noise from the transport mechanism as well seems to creep into the recording, I think. But it's only a little bit. It's not too bad, but that's through headphones, and it only comes out in mono. Don't forget, this is only a mono unit. The cassette plays back in mono, the flash plays back in mono. I keep calling it flash, the SD card plays back in mono, and the radio's mono. It's a mono unit. Now, what I would have liked to see, but just before I go on to that, let's just go on to the sound. I think it sounds pretty good. Hopefully it's come across the microphone. I think it sounds, well, it definitely sounds better than the other radio cassette I had. It definitely sounds better than that. So I'm pretty pleased with this. This sounds pretty good for the money. Like I say, we're not paying fortunes here. It does quite a multitude of jobs here. And it will come in handy for some people who's got some cassettes they want to record onto an SD card. The only problem being there that it actually will record it in mono only. But if you just want to back up some songs and that's like, it's a bit valuable to you, you don't want the tape going amiss or anything like that, it's going to be fine, you know what I mean? It's going to be fine. But what I would have liked to see, maybe for an extra £5 or something like that on top of the price, is that once you've done the recording, though this is a mono unit, they stuck a stereo head in there. So when you've done a recording off a cassette, it actually recorded onto the SD card in stereo. That would have been fantastic, and I think this would have made this appeal to a lot more people. They would have had cassettes laying around the house. They wouldn't have wanted to link up to PCs and buy special units and all that kind of stuff. They could have bought this, done their cassettes, and when they're finished, they've still got a nice radio cassette and a Bluetooth speaker to play on. Now, just talking about Bluetooth speakers, that's something that I haven't mentioned. To set the Bluetooth, all you've got to do is flick this over to where it says USB TFBT. It's just without the card in there. You mustn't have any card in there because it seems to play back the card straight away. So yeah, just flick it over to that. The display will light up, and if you just press the Bluetooth button, there you go. You get your phone, etc., and it will show up as TR641. I haven't shown you that, but it's pretty straightforward. It will show up and just pair them up. Or they can pair automatically as well if you've got like a record player or something like that. It's Bluetooth. Press the Bluetooth on here, Bluetooth on your record player, then your record player will come out of here, as long as it does that kind of feature. So yeah, and don't expect too much. Like I say, it's a mono unit. It's not going to be like one of them anchor bar kind of things, come out in stereo and all that kind of stuff. But for the one speaker, as you probably heard, it sounds pretty decent, I think. And like I say, it's well built. Don't think there's been any shortcuts here. Obviously, it's still made cheaply. It's got a cheap cassette. The radio's still a bit fiddly, but it's great. You know what I mean? Once you've got it in there, once you tuned it up, it's fine. All in all, I think this gives out a good sound. Like I say, the bits missing maybe for me is when recording off a cassette, it would have been nice to record it onto a SD card in stereo. It would have been nice when listening to a cassette, even though it's in mono ear, if you plugged in your headphones, it did come out in stereo. That would be the same with the Bluetooth as well. Not too worried about the stereo on the radio, that's no problem at all. But on the SD card, stroke USB, or the cassette, would have been nice to actually have a playback in stereo. Just would have had an extra touch to it. Like I say, would have just made it even more appealing. And obviously, if this was, extra money involved, if this tuning was actually shown up here, or it's just, a rocker switch or something like that with a digital display. That wouldn't have to be DAB, but just a normal digital display for the normal analog signal. That would have been great, but it's all adding money to the unit. What it is, for £35 thereabouts in the UK, $42 in America, I think you're getting something pretty reasonable here. I'm pretty pleased with it. No, I'm definitely pleased with it. Something I will use because it's nice and small and compact as well. I've got a few tapes I can play without worrying too much about the sound. Not going to talk about hi-fi quality sound here, but still going to get a reasonable sound. Going to go along, going to listen to it, all that kind of stuff. And if I wanted to play a few SD cards or USB bits I just wanted to test out, this is going to be fine for that, and also listening to the radio. So I think this appeals to quite a few people. It's got quite a few functions up its sleeve. One other function that it could have done as well, I did miss out, is the Bluetooth. Rather than just using normal headphones, that Bluetooth is just for using this as a Bluetooth speaker. Would have been nice if it's also connected up to your Bluetooth headphones. But again, that would have been in mono. So something maybe not, missed a lot, I suppose. You know what I mean? I don't think I'll be using this much, plugging my headphones into it. I think I'll just use this as a standalone unit, listening to the radio, an odd cassette here and there, and maybe playing back a few MP3 files as well. But all in all, yeah, quite a nice sounding unit. Hopefully that's come across in the video as well. Until the next one, I'll say thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.